Imagine a world where all of Sony's CEOs come out and say, we're putting only 4 of our exclusives on Xbox. And I'm not talking about a third-party funded studio like Arrowhead with Helldivers 2. Yep, Arrowhead is actually not an official Sony studio, but Sony does own the Helldivers 2 IP. I'm talking OG veteran studios like Santa Monica, Insomniac, Guerrilla Games. Imagine Sony says only 4 games, only Spider-Man 2018, God of War, Ragnarok, Ratchet and Clank, and Bloodborne go to Xbox. And imagine they've got this fun little quirky CEO like Phil Spenser talking about what a gamer he is while lying to fans' faces constantly. Now imagine that same CEO coming out 6 months later and saying, no red line, all games will come to Xbox. I'm sure you'd feel a bit betrayed as a PlayStation fan. Imagine for 1 second that instead of Sony finishing up God of War, Ragnarok, and Ghost of Yotei for the PS5, they decide it's a better idea to release Ghost of Tsushima and God of War 3 remastered on Xbox instead of focusing on these awesome sequels for PlayStation fans. How would that make you feel as a longtime PlayStation fan? I'm guessing not good. As I'm imagining these scenarios, I'm also imagining smashing my PS5 at the moment. And you know what's the craziest part? Imagine that's just the beginning. So imagine that after all that, Sony decides that not only will all the games come to Xbox and PC at some point, but now PS Plus is on PC with the entire PlayStation library. Now imagine that all PlayStation exclusives are coming day one to Xbox and PC. But wait, it gets worse. Imagine there's no PS5 Pro. And imagine the CEO of PlayStation comes out and says, we're not going to move the console industry with $1,000 consoles. And 6 months later, Sony partners up with Samsung and makes a Windows PC handheld with a PlayStation sticker on it for $1,000. Are you fuming yet? Oh, you thought we were done, huh? No, 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 no. Now check this out. There's an Xbox Series X Pro for $750, and Sony decides to bump the price of the base PS5 up to $800 while it's half the power of a cheaper Xbox Series X Pro. Does that make sense to you? It sure doesn't make any sense to me. Oh wait, where are you going? We're not even close to done here. Now imagine after all this mess, Sony hits us with another bombshell like this wasn't enough already. Sony comes out with a marketing strategy and says everything is PlayStation. Your phone, your TV, your PC, your tablet, everything with a screen is PlayStation. And right when you think that's it can't get any worse, guess what happens? Sony decides to raise the price of PS Plus to $360 a year from $120. Their excuse? Market conditions, of course. Of course, it's market conditions. Now, imagine the Xbox brand being so strong that it's outselling PlayStation 5 to 1, but there are still people online saying PlayStation is the best after all this mess, and the whole Xbox slate is coming to PlayStation. Imagine that! Wouldn't that be insane? I'm sure you're thinking by now, okay, that's it. This is the end. It can't get any worse than this. Costco officially stops selling PlayStation consoles. New rumors arise that there might not be a next-gen PlayStation. Meanwhile, Sony spokespeople keep reassuring everyone, no, PlayStation Next Gen is still happening. Relax. But the next day, Sony is back at it again with everything is PlayStation marketing ads. At the same time, they're sending emails to customers begging them not to cancel their PS Plus subscriptions because they're not going to raise prices for existing members, only for new ones. They're basically reminding you, hey, we're not screwing you over yet. Not yet. Only the new ones. We'll screw you over later. How do you feel right now? Do you feel sick to your stomach? Do you feel like throwing up? Well, if you feel that way, you're a normal human being. And this story is 100% true. All you need to do is replace PlayStation with Xbox. That's what Xbox did in the last 18 months to their own fans. Imagine if Sony dropped $70 billion to buy Activision Blizzard. Yeah, $70 billion with a B. And then right after the deal, they looked the camera dead in the eye and said, don't worry guys, we're not going to make Call of Duty exclusive. You'd believe that? Really? Because I sure as hell wouldn't. Now picture Jim Ryan, or whoever's in charge, doing interviews, smiling, shaking hands, saying, we believe in player choice. We believe in keeping communities together. Imagine PlayStation fans online screaming, this is a power move. This is great for gaming. And then a few months later, Sony announces PS Plus is going up 50%. Suddenly, great for gaming doesn't sound so great anymore, huh? Then imagine they start shutting down studios left and right, bend media molecule. Even Naughty Dog gets restructured. And when fans ask why, Sony just shrugs and says, well, we had to make some tough decisions after the acquisition. You'd lose your mind, right? You'd be like, why did you even buy Activision if you were just gonna gut your own teams? Now tell me, if Sony did that, if they pulled the exact same moves Microsoft did, would people still be clapping and defending it online? Would they still say, it's just business? Nah, they'd riot. Because when Xbox does it, it's strategic. But when Sony does it, it's anti-consumer. Funny how that works, huh? Imagine if every new PlayStation exclusive came out and it was just mid. Not bad, not great, just the kind of game you play for a few hours and go, yeah, I'm good. Imagine God of War Ragnarok 2 launches, and Kratos sounds bored out of his mind. Atreus is still whining about Destiny, and every side quest is fetch 3 apples and fight a copy-paste boss. Then, Spider-Man 3 drops. But the city feels empty, the combat is recycled, and Peter's face looks like it was rendered on a toaster. They call it the biggest PlayStation launch ever, but half the player base quits after 2 days. Now, imagine Ghost of Yotei finally comes out, and the trailers looked stunning. But when you boot it up, the frame rate stutters, the world feels lifeless, and the AI acts like they all called in sick. People would lose it. You'd see PlayStation fans coping online like, bro, it's a slow burn. You gotta play 30 hours before it gets good. Sound familiar? Now, picture Horizon 3 launching with bugs so bad the main character T-poses during cutscenes. Reviewers give it a 7 out of 10, and the devs start tweeting essays about toxic fan bases. And just for fun, imagine The Last of Us Part 3 comes out after years of hype, and it's half-baked, empty, with a broken crafting system. You'd be heartbroken, right? Because for years, PlayStation meant quality. You could buy a Sony exclusive blind and know you were getting something special. Now imagine that legacy gone, replaced by mediocrity, PR buzzwords, and a roadmap promising that updates will fix it later. That's what Xbox fans got with Halo Infinite. That's what they got with Starfield. Big names, big hype, and when the dust settled, empty promises and lifeless worlds. Now tell me, if Sony did that, if their golden lineup fell off like that, you'd be pissed. You'd be questioning if PlayStation even had a soul anymore. And that's the scary part, because Xbox already lived that nightmare. They had legends, icons, and they let them rot. Imagine this. 3 whole years go by. No God of War, no Spider-Man, no Ghost of Yotei, nothing. Just silence. Imagine booting up your PS5 every few months hoping for a showcase, and every time it's just another third-party partnership trailer. More live service experiments, more we're working hard behind the scenes, but not a single real PlayStation exclusive in sight. You'd start wondering, what the hell is Sony even doing? Now imagine Xbox fans clowning you online every week posting, where's the PlayStation lineup? And you've got nothing to say because, well, there isn't one. Imagine you're paying $360 a year for PS Plus, and the biggest game added this month is NBA 2K26 Deluxe Edition with a free theme. Meanwhile, the store is filled with indie remasters, mobile ports, and director's cuts of games you already bought twice. You'd be losing it. You'd be thinking, wait, didn't Sony used to drop bangers every year? Because back in the PS4 days, they were on fire, one masterpiece after another. Then suddenly, 3 years of nothing. Imagine the CEO stepping up on stage, smiling, saying, we're proud of the work our studios are doing. And you're like, what work? There's nothing to play. And every time someone asks when the next big exclusive is coming, they pull the same line. We're taking our time to ensure quality. Meanwhile, you look over at Xbox, and they're actually dropping games, good or bad. At least they're dropping something. Imagine that feeling. Owning a PlayStation that feels like a Netflix subscription, a platform just coasting off nostalgia and PS Plus renewals. You'd be pissed. You'd feel abandoned. You'd start to realize that maybe, just maybe, the PlayStation you grew up loving isn't even around anymore. And yet, that's exactly what Xbox fans live through. 3 years. No real exclusives, just promises, teasers, and PowerPoint presentations. So yeah, imagine Sony doing that. You wouldn't just be mad, you'd be done.